Hi and welcome to Volunteer Status Evaluation Infovideo. My name is Sally Malan, FHS President and Founder. In this VSE Infovideo, I will provide you the guidelines on how you should accomplish the VSE form. Okay, so we'll begin with the volunteer categories. So bear in mind that the VSE is solely for those who fall under the element volunteer category and some of the TOPAS volunteer category. So if you are TOPAS, it is not obligatory for you to accomplish the VSE, but for element or core team volunteers, you need to accomplish the VSE every month. Okay? How would you know if you are already element volunteer? So first, you need to accomplish the starting steps as FHS team volunteer, and that is registering and being interviewed by FHS and submitting your ORS plan. So if you already accomplished those 3 starting steps, then you are qualified as an element FHS volunteer. VSE or volunteer status must be evaluated regularly. And what is the purpose of this? This is our documentation. For us to know if you are entitled of exclusive FHS benefits, services, and other perks. Like gratis no shoplaring, that is one of the exclusive benefits of element volunteers. Alright. So here are the 5 assessment areas in the VSE. So first, we have the initiative, and this evaluates your leadership skills. This is different from the engagement in the second assessment area, wherein you are evaluated on how active you are in terms of participating in activities. In the first assessment, we are to look into your leadership skills, how you are taking initiative in leading the team activities and other activities in FHS. So we have a high standard in giving you 2 points or the perfect score. You need to to lead team activities 75% of 8 or more. You'll get the score of 1 if you were able to lead 25% to 74% of team activities. And if you are not taking initiative or you are taking the lead but very, very seldom, then you will get a score of 0. So if you wanted to improve your leadership skills, we are to provide it to you as a volunteer. And that is why we have this in assessment area for us also to know your weak points so that we can help you improve it. Engagement, like we've said, is more of how you participate, how active you are in participating in activities. Like we've said, 75% or more, then we got 2 points. 35% to 74% will give you 1 point. And if you are not so active in the participating in our activities, then you'll get 0 point. Communication is about communicating to us if you are to be busy or if you wanted something to be done in FHS, and communicating your availability to your PC and as well as to your team leader, but most importantly to your PC. And if you are doing this actively and all the time, then you'll get the score of 2. And if you are doing this sometimes, then you'll get the score of 1. And if you are not providing any updates or apologies, then you'll get a score of 0. This is very important for us so that we know when to contact you, when we can tap you, and also, a very important thing, those who have made offenses in FHS, you may be deducted in this area under the core group evaluation. So I will explain to you later about that. Attendance, present in all the meetings, in general meetings and team meetings and other gatherings or that you and your team members have agreed upon. Then you'll get 2 points if you are present all the time. If you are present sometimes, then you'll get the score of 1. And if you are not attending any of those meetings, then you'll get the score of 0. For promotion, this is very important for us to boost our visibility in the Norwegian society and for the government also to see how we are doing and our voluntary works. And for those who might be in need of our help, to recognize and seek help and recognize that we are here to help them. That's why this is part of our assessment area. If you are active in promoting FHS and its activities, in most of activities, 75% at least, in social media and other networks, then you'll get a perfect score of 2. If you are doing this 25% to 74% of the time, then you'll get a score of 1. And if you are not active at all in promoting the FHS activities, then you'll get a score of 0. All right, so we are to sum up the total score. So if you got 2 in all the 5 assessment areas, then you'll get the score of 10, perfect score of 10, and you'll get the status of gold. This is also true if you got the score of 8. 8, 9, 10 will give you a status of gold. If you got a score of 4 to 7, you'll get a status of silver. And if you got 1, 2, or 3, you'll get a bronze status. If you've got a score of 0, then you'll get a steel status. Alright, so this, like I said, will be monthly evaluation for every element volunteer. So highlighted up there is that every active officer will get 2 bonus points. I will explain to you later further about that. Okay, so the second point is about who are going to evaluate you, and we will explain it to you later also. Third is about the steel status. Those who have earned steel status in a month will be provided extra assessment unless they've provided written advice to FHS secretary. And then if needed, they are to be provided encouragement and motivation by the team leader, PC, or an FHS officer. Those who have earned the steel status in 3 consecutive months will be given a written advice by FHS Secretary Maria and assess availability and commitment of the volunteer, and if he or she wishes to leave the FHS for a moment or for a while, then it is okay. The most important thing is that we communicate. We have open doors in FHS, so you are free to go and free to come back when your time is in a better opportune time for you. All right, for those, on the other hand, for those with gold status in at least 2 consecutive months, will be prioritized for FHS offers other opportunities and benefits. And those will be getting 3 consecutive months with gold status will be first in line in performing projects with allowances. All right. So this I will explain to you in each slides to be presented. Again, who are going to be evaluated? We are to evaluate element volunteers, some topos volunteers, those who wanted to evaluate themselves, and still volunteers up to 3 consecutive months. Those who are not to be evaluated are non-volunteering members, iron volunteers or the irregular volunteers, crystal volunteers or the honorary volunteers, and the core group members. Okay, so here are the 4 evaluators. You have yourself, TL, PC, and core group. Now we will explain how you can get your average score and status. Okay, here's an example. So if you got a score from core group evaluation of 8, and then your TL gave you 3, PC gave you 3, and you yourself gave yourself 7 as a score, then we will sum it up and we'll get the average score. And here your score would be 5, and that is equivalent to silver status. So that would be your final score and status for the given month. Alright, so now let us go deeper in how you will evaluate as an evaluator. Okay, you as a volunteer should be evaluating yourself. So you are to evaluate yourself in self-evaluation, but you are not to give bonus points to yourself. So this applies to every FHS element volunteer. Whether you are an officer or not, you need to evaluate yourself. Okay, you as a team leader, you will evaluate other team leaders, and or you must assign among yourselves who will evaluate who, or which team leader will evaluate the other team leader. Because you are not to evaluate yourself as TL, your co-TL will evaluate you. You will evaluate all the element volunteers in your sub-team or sub-teams. You are to evaluate yourself in self-evaluation. Do not forget to evaluate yourself in self-evaluation. And you are not to give extra bonus points. As a plant coordinator, you are to evaluate the team leaders and all element volunteers in your team. You are to evaluate yourself in self-evaluation. Do not forget. You are not to evaluate yourself as PC, because Sec Maria will evaluate you as PC. You are just to evaluate yourself as a volunteer in self-evaluation, not as PC, evaluating yourself as PC. Alright? That is clear. And you are to give bonus points. And the 4th evaluator would be a core group member. So like we said, core group members are exempted from VSE. You will evaluate all the element volunteers in a team assigned to you. You are to give 2 bonus points to active officers, and you may give as many 2 bonus points as possible to a single officer with multiple positions, as long as they are performing their varied tasks and different roles accordingly and actively. So you may give as many as 4, 6, 8, as long as that officer has that so many number of positions and manage to perform well in all of his or her positions. And me as the president will control the evaluation that the core group member has made, and I may put extra points for those who have performed activities which provide extra points. This is to be announced, of course. And these are also activities for scholars. So I will be putting the extra points in the core group evaluation. And I may also deduct points under communication assessment area in the core group evaluation for those who have made offenses against FHS CBL or for those who have not followed the instructions and rules that the core group officers or the board has announced or has provided you. So these are the 4 evaluators. So now let us see how you can do the evaluation as a volunteer. Alright, so we are to go to the VSE. Yeah, there. So here you can see the period, the evaluation period, and the deadline is on the 30th of June before midnight. The 4 evaluators, like we said, core group, team leader, plan coordinator, and you as a volunteer. So these evaluators must evaluate you. Total of 4 evaluation for a single element volunteer for you to get an average score and status. Alright. So this would be also announced. The result will be announced in percentage and graphs or pie charts by the PCs and not with the individual score, because we would I would want this to be anonymous. Even the top volunteers, we are not announcing their names. We are just announcing the score and their remarks that they've got in the evaluation, because we wanted to maintain the humility among us FHS volunteers. Alright, so the instruction here, click, and we would also want you to focus on the purpose of VSE and not on the result. Alright, so if you are to evaluate yourself, for example, you are part of KN, like I said, disregard the headline because they are using the team has availed yet, but that ProNico will be fixing that later. And also, for the Team Ung Barnavdeling, we are to provide you also form. You are just to be evaluated, but we are to provide you form also. So let's take an example. If you are a part of Team Kulturang Noipi, you'll have to use this form, not the newbies form or the HBs form. You need to click on this form. And then we are to share other screen again. Alright, so here's an example. So here again, we are to remind you of the evaluation period. Be sure to submit your VSE evaluation form before the deadline, and that is before the midnight of 1st of July. Okay. And and also stated here that if you need guide, then you can go to the last part of the form and you'll get a guide there. Alright. So for example, I'll be evaluating myself as a Kulturang Noipi volunteer, element volunteer. So I'll need to click on that. And I will need to write my name as the person to be evaluated, and I will put again my name because I am evaluating myself. So I will choose self-evaluation. And for example, I was so active in leading all of our team's activities and other team's activities, and I'll give myself a perfect score of 2. And I'm engaging in all the activities of FHS, so I'll give myself a 2. You just need to be honest, of course. And I'm communicating with my plan coordinator, team leader, and the core group, so that it gave me a perfect score of 2 also. And I was present in all the meetings. And I am also sharing, liking, and commenting in the post of FHS in both Facebook YouTube, and Instagram. So I'll give myself a perfect score of 2. Of course, I will not give myself bonus points because this is only for the core group members. Assessment total score. Okay, so we will add 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I got a score of 10. And my status, of course, falls under the gold status. And here I will write what I wanted to say to FHS or to myself. For example, I need to help other volunteers in their activities or motivate others and maintain my activity or improve. Example. And then, like I said, if you are not sure, here is a guide for you. And then don't forget to submit. And once you have submitted it, then you have already provided one of the 4 evaluation for yourself. You just need to wait for the evaluation from your PC, TL, and the core group member, and your final score and status will be provided to you by your PC. Just ask your PC after July 5, what is my score and status. Alright? So, again, I hope you accomplish the VSE on time, and thank you for being volunteer of the FHS. Have a nice weekend, everyone.